Well, hello there. It's me again. Listen, I want to talk to you about cricket. Yes, the game of cricket. Now, if you grew up in the Caribbean, or as a matter of fact, almost any part of the world, if you grew up in India, Australia, New Zealand, England, for that matter, then you're familiar with the game of cricket. And if you're not familiar, let me enlighten you. See, cricket is a game that's played all across the world. But the thing is, no matter where the game is being played, the rules of the game is consistent, it's understood at every level. It's understood by the team that is playing the game, and it's understood by the spectators who are enjoying the game. Even when the game is played against teams that don't even speak the same language, everybody still understands the structure, the dynamic, and the rules of the game. Why did I bring up cricket? Because when I think of relationships, I think that if we approached relationships with the same dynamic and the same structure and the same understood rules and regulations, if we together come up with a certain standard and expectation among ourselves, the two person in the relationship will be way better off. Because here's my experience. Oh, let me step aside for a second and close the window. I live in a very noisy area, and there's a lot of wind and distraction coming from outside. Let me just take care of that. Okay, so there we go. Hopefully you can hear me better. Yes. So we get into relationships and we're infatuated and we're in love and we're excited and we're optimistic. But at what point does the discussion happen about the terms of engagement? That's what I call it, terms of engagement in the relationship. At what point does that happen? Actually, for most of us, it never really happens. You come to the table with your own preconceived notion as to what the rules look like. You have your own rules, and it's set from the time you were growing up in your parents' household. You pattern your behavior and your expectation based on what you saw, right? And the same with your partner, except he didn't grow up in the same household as you. He doesn't have the same parents as you. He doesn't have the same experience as you. So why do we expect, therefore, that we both are operating under the same rules and guidelines? It's unfair, right? I found myself in a relationship that's sort of like that. No one brought up, okay, what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. No one talked about the expectation. What I clearly remember, though, was him complaining that he just been through a really bitter relationship with his ex, and she does this and she does that, and she treats him like this and that, and he had a long litany of what heartache and pressure he was under. And what did I do? I became the sort of sounding board, the surrogate parent, or maybe the surrogate psychologist, kind of coaching him and guiding him on what to do and how to stay calm, and it's okay, and you'll get through it. But never did he and I honestly sit down and have a conversation on our rules of engagement. So it really came as no surprise that once I was on the job, so to speak, once we are in the trenches, so to speak, we are now finding out that a lot of things that I thought that he understood, he don't know what the hell I'm talking about, and vice versa. He thought I understood the rules of his version of partnership. And his version of partnership was very different from what my version of partnership actually meant. Had I done my homework, had the discussion, and really understood what the expectations were, then there would have been two possible outcomes, or maybe three possible outcomes. First, I would have probably realized at the get-go, this is not my cup of tea. He doesn't get me, I don't get him on the critical issues. Or I may have decided, this is not my cup of tea, but at least I know exactly where he's coming from. See, that's a different. I didn't know where he's coming from because we never discussed it and we never came to any sort of conclusion. All I know is I had my rules, and every single day, those rules were being challenged or broken. Challenged or broken. Because in this partnership, he was busy doing him on his thing, and I was busy doing mine. And when it became obvious that we are operating under different sets of rules, I was knee-deep in this shit already. So it was very difficult. It was way past time to bail because I was already deeply buried in the dynamic of the dysfunction. See? So I want to encourage you to think of your relationship as a game of cricket. You need to specify what are some of the rules that you're setting up. What does a boundary look like? What does a broken rule actually look like? And more important, once the rules are broken, how are you going to respond? What's the consequences? What's the penalty? See? We don't think that way. But if you want a relationship that flourishes, you want a partner that understands you, you want a situation where you don't feel like you're constantly in self-defense mode or on a battlefield all the time because you're constantly being challenged and you constantly have to push back and you're constantly in an argument, and over a period of time you find that you're pulling your hair out, right? Okay. I didn't mean to pull my hair out, but you get the drift, right? You get the drift. But now that you are in deep, like I was, you're in the middle of it now. What do? Is it too late to start setting up these rules? Is it really too late? And if so, are you okay? Are you willing to put up with whatever comes out, however it manifests? Maybe even better, the question is, how small do you have to get to be able to fit in to his version of what a committed relationship looks like? What do you have to give up for you to be okay every day? What? Who do you have to become as a woman? Who do you have to become? What are you willing to sacrifice just so you could stay put in your comfort zone, as dishonest as it may be to who you are, who you say you are? It's not congruent to anything that you told yourself at one point you would never put up with. I'm here to tell you that even now that you're in it and now you recognize it, whether you recognize it before or you recognize it as a result of hearing this talk, you still have to decide how much, how long, how committed you are to your dysfunctional life. Okay? You get to decide how committed you are to this dysfunctional life. You get to decide that. And it's time that you put aside all the what ifs and what could have been and what should have been and what ought to be and how bad he is and how right you are. It's time to put aside all that nonsense and do the hard work of setting up some rules, some guidelines for yourself, for how you want to be treated, how you want to stand in integrity. This work is, as I say, every opportunity I get. This work has very little to do with your partner or the other person. This work has everything to do with you. No matter what you're trying to accomplish in this life, no matter from the time you were small to the time you are where you are today, everything that you did was your responsibility. You stayed up late at night studying for that test. You stayed up late at night, getting the degrees. You got ready in the morning and marched to work, the job that you didn't even like. But that's for another lecture, right? At the end of the day, it's all you that needs to stand in integrity to what you say you want to build your life. I challenge you to take it further. I'm here to work with you to get some clearing, to get some clarity about who you are and who you're going to stand up as. I thank you.